Think of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. If you think about, I'll start with the worst of times. If you go to a COP, you have to keep in mind that it is not a place where governments are going to be able to make grand decisions and get everybody to do something. It's a consensus-seeking environment, and you really don't, we would not want a United Nations to be able to command and control the entire planet. So really what you're looking at is trying to get countries to come together to agree to voluntary agreements on a consensus level. So with that in mind, I still, on an emotional level, felt very much the despair and the anger and a lot of the negativity from many of the people on the front lines, and justifiably so, as well as the youth. I heard that clearly and I took it to heart, and you may have seen a couple of my comments. But on the other side, when I pull back and just look at all the progress that was made, and I have a huge list in my head, which I do not have time to say right now, but a lot of the tracks have been laid down. I think there's great potential for moving in the right direction, but we still need all of you working at the ground level to keep this ball going in the right direction.
You know, Cathy, you said that it was a tale of two cities, and that was endorsed by others. My feeling was that in many ways, observers were completely shut out of the process. There were informal informals held in ways that maybe weren't always the necessary way of holding a meeting. And we predicted ahead of time that if observers were shut out, there would be manipulations that led to ambition being reduced. But then you also said it's the best of times, right? Because there were people there doing things. Can you say a little bit about what it was like to have those two feelings at the same time? And what were you part of that made you feel, in spite of the exclusions, in spite of the challenges, there was something big and important happening at the same time?
It's a very wonderful question. Thank you, Joe. So yeah, I'm going to relate it to Star Trek just to have some fun. Sorry. Okay, sorry for another metaphor here. There's a part of me that feels like a Klingon. You know, I get very emotional, I get angry. There was moments where I felt intense anger. But that anger was not coming from fear. It was coming from love. And so dealing with these really super strong emotions, and Rituraj was with me in one of those moments. We had just sat in the People's Plenary on the last day. And it's a parallel plenary that runs at the same time as the Leaders' Plenary on the last day. And so we heard from all the constituencies that, I won't go into the details what they were, but they were basically saying this was an exclusionary COP. This was, that it was not, they were not heard, that all the things Joe just said. So, and unbeknownst to us, they got us all to join together with this red rope and march through the entire COP. And you got to imagine, it's about 1 kilometer long to get from one end to the other. And so we're holding, not a kilometer, probably about 750 meters. Okay. So we're going through it, and I'm feeling very angry, but also full of love, because I want people to know that I am upset about the loss and damage issues. So I'm punching the air and I'm just getting it out of me. And before I know it, I had 3 microphones shoved in my face. So I was getting these national interviews and so it was, and just one more thing. And the woman in front of me, she turned around to me after the third one came. She goes, "Why do they keep coming to you?" And I said, "Because I'm punching the air." So I stopped punching the air and held the rope, and she started punching the air and held, and she got her interviews. Okay. So yeah, I think you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, what I was feeling, very emotional, but at the same time, there was so many things happening, like things that were giving me hope, like just seeing all the people on the streets in Glasgow. Going to sessions and listening to the deep things that were being developed. Like I put my rational mind on that, thinking things through, that, there are things that are happening. So it's balancing the emotional with the rational. It is an emotional place to be, but you can, with your deep listening, and you can find some of the rational things. And so my last story to relay is from a meeting I was in. Let me give you some context. There's like, it's a zoo, right? Like there's hundreds of things happening, and every day you have to pick what you want to go to. So I decided to go to a session with the finance ministers for climate, and so they have these economists and bureaucrat people there, and they were talking about, what's going to happen with the economics. And one of the economists said, progress will not be linear. And that's a moment when I just felt a sense of hope. Like that, yeah, it feels like we're flatlining, but things will escalate. So, and just knowing, lastly, that lots of things are happening, and, been a climate activist for a long time, and we literally do have front row seats to the best show on earth. And that's seeing everybody doing their work. We know way more than most people of what's going on. So that's what gives me hope. So to be with 30,000 people doing all that work. Thank you, Joe.